Hey guys, Faisal here for Faisal Codes. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to install virtual machines on our ESXi host. I'm going to show you how to get the ISOs. I'm going to show you how to upload them to the ESXi host, and then we'll get everything booted up. But before I continue, I want to point out something where I made a little bit of a mistake in my previous video. I said that we're using a type 1 hypervisor in that video, which is correct partially, but we're also using type 2 hypervisor. So this is my Windows machine, and this is a type 2 hypervisor, right? Um, so this would be considered a type 2 hypervisor, VMware Workstation Pro or Oracle, as I stated in my last video. So what we're doing is we're taking the hypervisor version 2 or type 2, sorry, and we're loading a type 1 hypervisor on top of that. So I just wanted to clarify we're using both the types of hypervisors because this is in a server. This is a laptop that has the type 2 hypervisor, and on that type 2 hypervisor we have the type 1 hypervisor. If this was bare metal, just a server like a Dell server, HP server, one of those racks servers, we would simply just have the ESXi host um, booted up on there. So we wouldn't have the type 2 how we see it like right now, this VMware Workstation or Oracle, or there's other providers as well. So just wanted to clear that up. With that being said, let's get started. So I already have my ESXi 6.7 open, and if you guys don't know how to open it, um, since I'm using Workstation Pro, you go to open a virtual machine, right? It should be in your documents under virtual machines. And mine is VMware 6.7. I have two 6.7s. This one's my home lab, and this is the one I'm using to record the videos and show you guys how to install and make virtual machines. Actually, this one is updated to 7, so in a future video, I'll show you how to update or upgrade your ESXi. And the 7 has a completely different UI, so I'll show you guys that in a future video. So click on your 6.7, right? And then you're going to click on the virtual machine configuration right here. And that should open up your ESXi host, right? I already have it open, so that's why I'm getting this prompt. All right, with that being said, let's get started. So I'm going to go to the IP that I configured in the previous video. So 192.168.50.50, right? And we'll give it a second. All right. So I was already logged in. That's why it didn't prompt me with the login. I'll just show you. This is how the login screen looks. Put in your information that you configured. All right. So this is how it looks initially when you log in, right? You have your virtual machine. You have your storage, right? And under storage, you'll have your data store 1. You can rename this to anything you like. You can name it storage. You can name it storage 1, storage 2, whatever you like. That doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do, we're going to data store browser, right? Actually, before we do that, I want to point out that we do need ISOs before we continue, before continuing to configure a virtual machine, whether it's a Windows, whether it's a Ubuntu, whatever it is. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you Windows Server, and I'm going to be showing you how to install the Ubuntu. I actually had a problem with the 2204.3. For some reason, it wasn't working, so I went straight for just the 22.4, and that seemed to work for me. Maybe you guys don't experience that issue, so just a heads up on that. All right, so to download the ISOs, I'll leave the link in the descriptions as well, so don't worry about that. We're gonna click on download the ISO and put in your name, right? I'm just putting in random stuff, right? Oh, country code. Oops. There you go. Canada. Not really. I don't want to share anything. Company size. Put one. Well, you guys get the point. So once you guys are here, click on the 64-bit edition, right? The ISO. And depending on your language, you can pick whichever you want. Once you click download, your download should start, right? And that's about it. So your Windows ISO will be downloaded. And then very similar step to the Ubuntu, you go onto the website, click download, and you don't need to actually put in any information for this, it'll just download. So once you guys have those two ISOs downloaded, we're going to go back into the ESXi host. And so we're going to go click on data store browser. And in here, we're going to create a directory. And we're going to name this ISO. You can name this anything you like. I just named it ISOs, because there's going to be multiple ISOs. Create a directory. Right. Now I'm going to upload the ISOs that I've downloaded. So that's actually in my ISOs folder. That should be right there, ISOs. And so for me, the Windows server is named this. Yours will be named a little different. You could rename this if you want. It's totally up to you. So we'll open that up. And you'll see now that it's getting uploaded. So it'll take a few minutes for it to upload. I'll also upload the Ubuntu. So while you're highlighted on the ISOs folder, click upload, and we'll choose the Ubuntu. Click open. And now that should be getting uploaded to our ISOs folder. So let's take a look. There we go. All right. The upload is almost complete. All right, so one of the ISOs has been successfully uploaded, and so we'll close out of this, and the ISO is going to be uploading in the background. That's okay. We'll go over to virtual machines, and over here is where you can create your virtual machines. So we're going to create on create virtual machine, or create and register. We'll go with the first one, create a new virtual machine. Click next. So we'll give it a name. And so let's go with the Ubuntu first. So do Ubuntu 2204. And for this one, since I'm using 6.7, we'll leave it as that. For the guest OS, we'll do Linux. And we'll scroll down where it says Ubuntu. And we'll click on the Ubuntu Linux 64-bit. Click next. And so this is a data store that we configured on our ESXi workstation, VMware workstation. And so it's getting populated to our ESXi host on the web interface. So we'll click next. And over here, we'll give it some configuration. So let's say we want to give it 2 CPU, and say I want to give it 2 GB of RAM. And for hard disk, I'll give it 25 GB. And I'll click on the hard disk, right, the arrow, and then I'll click on thin provisioned, so that way it doesn't take up all of the space. It'll just be thin provisioned. It'll take up as little space as possible. And that should be good. For memory, it's good. For network, oh, I almost forgot. So over here is where we need to define where the ISO is. So we're going to go to the CD, and we're going to click on our data store ISO file. Then we're going to browse over to the ISOs folder where we uploaded our ISOs. Click on the Ubuntu, click select, and now our data store ISO is connected. And I think that should be all. Yes, that should be all for now. We'll click next. And these are your configurations. It's just prompting you with them. We'll click finish. And now our virtual machine has been created. So we'll click on that. And then we'll click on the play button. And this is the installation for the Ubuntu. So it says I'll press enter. It doesn't actually say to press enter, does it? Oh, it does on the bottom. Press enter to boot. Yep. While that's happening, I'm also going to be uploading the Windows Server, or creating the virtual Windows Server virtual machine. So we'll go create. We'll go next. We'll call this Windows Server. We'll keep this as 6.7. We'll go to the Windows Guest OS, and for this we will, for the version, we will do the Windows Server 2016 or later, because that's the only latest one. So click on that. We'll leave the enable Windows virtualization based security off. Click next. Pick our data store. I'll give it 4 CPU, and the RAM should be okay, 4 GB. I'll do thin provisioned. And so I just want you guys to know something. The space that is allocated when it's configured by itself. So for example, the Ubuntu showed us 16 GB, and now the Windows is showing us 40 GB, right? That's allocated. This is the minimum requirement that needs to be allocated to the server, or the Windows Server, or the Ubuntu machine, or whether it's Red Hat 8, 9, right? Whenever it gets populated by itself, that means it's the minimum requirement. And you can change it to a higher number, but do not change it to a lower number. You will have issues. With that being said, let's go. Okay, so we clicked in provisioned. We'll click the host device, data store ISO, click on ISOs and Windows Server, select, and that should be good. Click next, click finish, and now our Windows Server is also been created. We'll click play on that, and in the meantime we'll install Ubuntu. Click install, go to the English option. I won't download the updates, and I will keep this install to a minimum install. Continue. Erase disk and install Ubuntu. We'll click install now. If you continue the changes listed below, yep, we're fine with that. We'll click with our location, continue. I'll give it a name, say Faisal. Require password to log in, sure. Continue. And now the install should be continuing. Alright, so for the Windows Server, we'll go to boot normally. Press any key to boot from CD. We'll click any key. Expand this a little bit so it's easier to see. All right, so it's saying unsuccessful. Interesting. All right, let's try one more time. Boot normally, press any key. Okay, that worked this time. All right, so now both of our virtual machines are getting configured. This should take a few minutes. Windows Server, all right, we'll leave everything as default. Click Next, install now. We'll go with the 2022 standard evaluation desktop experience. The one above this is straight command line, so I'll actually pick the desktop experience, and that should be good. Click Next. And we'll accept the terms. Click Next. And we'll go to Custom Install. And then this is our disk that we configured, or we made when we were configuring the virtual machine. So we'll click highlight that and click Next. All right, now it's going to do its thing. I'll most likely skip this part, so you guys won't be seeing all this loading. All right, looks like both of our virtual machines have been configured. Click Restart Now in the Ubuntu. Okay, so on the Ubuntu it's saying please remove the installation medium, then press enter. So to do that, we're going to go to Ubuntu. That's our virtual machine. And we're going to go to Actions. And we'll click on Edit Settings. And it seems like the CD DVD drive, which is the installation media, has already been turned off. Connect at power on. We'll turn that off. Just to be safe, click Save. And then press Enter on the Ubuntu. There you go. Put this to the side. All right, configure the name, the password, Okay, administrator, log in. So we're gonna have to press Control Alt Delete for the Windows server to unlock. Click cancel on the. Okay, so when you first freshly install the Windows server, there's no VMware tools on the device. So to get around that right now, we need to go to the settings and we're going to go to guest OS and then we're going to go down to send keys and you'll see Control Alt Delete. And so once you press this, it'll prompt in the Windows Virtual Machine server. There you go. We'll put in our password. Awesome. Exit out of here on the Ubuntu. We'll click skip. Sure. Click next. Help improve Ubuntu. Yes. Do you want to allow your PC to be discoverable? Sure. Let's click yes. Close out of here. We'll minimize the server manager. Click done. Remind me later on these installs. All right. So let's actually install the VMware tools. So go to guest OS on the settings. Click on install VMware tools. And so on your, okay, so now we got populated over here on our Windows server. And if it doesn't get populated, you can always go to your File Explorer. And on the side, you will see the DVD drive D, which says VMware Tools. Click on that. And then we're going to click on the, I believe it's the setup 64. Yep. All right. Setup wizard will be prompted to us. We'll click next. We're just going to go with the typical install. You can do complete install. I believe the difference between the typical and the complete, you get a lot more features, right? It states that right over here too. I don't exactly know what additional features it includes. You guys can definitely search that up. So we're just going to go with the typical. Click next. Click install. And so our VMware tools, I guess, is getting installed. All right, perfect. Our tools have been installed. Click finish. You must restart your system for configuration. Yep, let's restart it. And so what VMware also does, or I'm sorry, VMware Tools, what it also does, it allows you to scale your window browser. For example, the browser that we have this Ubuntu open in, we can actually adjust the size, and the size will adjust depending on what kind of size you have or configuration you have. So you won't have any black bars on the side. That's what VMware Tools also does. So I'm actually going to exit out of here. Actually, you know what? I'll keep this open. I just want to show you guys one thing. So instead of having to open two consoles in the web UI, right? We can go to console and we can click on launch remote console, and then it'll prompt us to our VMware workstation. Click open, and we'll click connect anyways. And so now in a VMware workstation, whether you have the Pro version or whether you have the Player version, your um, your VM will be opened, your virtual machine will be open in that workstation, right? So let's just close this setup here. But it's usually simpler and easier to use that in the workstation, right? Because you have them side by side. And then also you can utilize the web console, right? You can have them side by side. But for these demo purposes, I'll just keep them in the web console. All right, so we'll click Action, Guest OS, Control-Alt-Delete. Actually, before I do that, I believe now we can Control-Alt-Delete, and it should allow us to log in with that. Let's give it a try. Control-Alt-Delete. So I went to my my Windows machine first. Okay, so never mind. It didn't. I thought it would work. All right. Anyways, that didn't work. So we'll go to guest OS. We'll go send keys. Control-Alt-Delete. Log in. Let's actually test if we have any network. We'll go to terminal. We'll ping Google. Okay, so we have interconnectivity. Awesome. On the Ubuntu server. Let's try on the Windows server. Ping Google. Awesome. What's our IP? IP config 97. IP config. Oh, if config. Oh, we don't have that installed. All right, IPv4a. And we're on 95. Okay, cool. So we have interconnectivity on both machines. Let's just open up the browser. Exit out of here. We don't want that. I just want to go to Google. Awesome. Okay. Everything's working. Perfect. All right, guys. So that was me showing you guys how to configure virtual machines on the ESXi host, how to download the ISO, how to upload the ISO to the data store, and then create a virtual machine from there. In my next video, I'll show you how to configure the Active Directory on the Windows server and connect the Active Directory to the Ubuntu machine using SSD and realmd. These are packages that we can use to utilize Active Directory connectivity to Kerberos to Active Directory. So if you guys found this video helpful, give it a like, comment below if you have any questions. I'll see you guys in the next one.